Okay, so I've been working on having uh, a child build pipeline for each of the Xcode versions. Initially, I did it like this. So we generate the base where we change the admin password, we perform the OS upgrades. Then I install all the package managers in the following job and save that image, and then use that image for the child pipeline with all the parallel jobs for the Xcode versions, and then use those to create the runner. Um, Unfortunately, the saving of images is not like a layered image like in Docker, so it ends up taking a lot of space. So what I would propose is just doing this in a single image, both Xcode and runner in a single step.
What's the difference between the Xcode and the runner one?
Well, the runner one just takes the Xcode and installs a specific version of the runner. So if you just want to do a new release with a different runner version, it's really quick because it just takes the Xcode and does a quick installation of the runner. So with the new approach, if we want to install a new runner version, it will still have to go through the installation of Xcode. So it just takes a
And
bit
what
longer.
is toolchain doing? Is it installing all the other software with
Toolchain is
AS?
Homebrew and ASDF, all the packages. That's the one that takes the longest, so definitely worth having a uh, separate one for that.
Yeah.
Um,
I have no objections into merging Xcode and runner into the same thing. I mean,
okay,
as you said, we're just duplicating a lot of data. So
yeah. Um, yeah, the following point is that I was going through issues with the pipeline. So if I show you here my um, actually this, let me just reset so it's okay. So in this case, I built a separate MR on top of the Xcode one, and what happened is that it just built some of the jobs. So it didn't go through the base toolchain. So I had to modify the jobs, the rules a bit. Maybe it's to be too heavy-handed. Um, Let me go through to that branch. So what I ended up doing is this: if we're doing a merge request and we're not going through the default branch, we're not merging to the default branch, we make sure we build. And if we're going to the default branch, we can optimize and just do those. If so, most of the time it will take these take into consideration these changes. But if we're building multiple MRs on top of another, we don't gain those optimizations. It's a bit of a workaround. Maybe there's a better way of doing this, but I don't think in the future there won't be that many scenarios where we're chaining merge requests.
shouldn't it be target branch? Like if the target branch is not default?
Uh, yeah, maybe there's a better documentation.
Because from what I understand, the way you want it to work is we want to run every job when we're targeting something that is not the default branch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all always want to be smart with the changes when we're targeting the main
Exactly.
branch. So it's target branch, not source branch, because source branch
Okay.
takes the name of what the branch that you are pushing to originates, not to
Yeah.
where
So
you're targeting. But no, you
yeah.
want to target. So even if I open up a merge request, that is not that is only updating the runner, right? I don't want it to build the tool chain for me, right? I want it to just run Xcode.
In which scenario?
So I'm opening up a merge request to update the runner version, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, it should only build the last step where it's installing Xcode and runner, right?
Yeah, it should, in this case, if I go to the runner one. So in this case, yeah, it will build Xcode and runner in the same job.
Okay. And
Uh,
what you're trying to solve here is if I'm opening up the runner version upgrade to uh, your merge request that you have open right now, you want everything to run, right?
yeah,
So the only variable that changes is the target branch, not the name of the source branch.
I thought the source is the one that we're merging to.
No,
Like,
that is the target. The source is
ah,
the branch that I have that I want to merge to your branch. That
okay,
is the
it's the
source.
MR branch. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, so this same thing,
yeah.
actually. So it should just be a search and replace. Okay, I'll take care of that. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, just test it out. But that is, if you look at the description, that should be it, anyways.
Okay. Uh, so yeah, I guess this one is already. Should we build? Yeah, I believe the answer to this is yes, because there's if we want to support Xcode 9, we have no other way of achieving that. Xcode 9, the last version that it works on is High Sierra, I think.
Do we need it for closed beta?
Yeah, that was my question on the issue.
I think we can try without it, right, and just see what kind of feedback we get. What we should do is, let me just double check this. So right now in the proposed Xcode versions in the closed beta image, I do have Xcode 9. So what if I take out, what if I make a note, I'll put a comment in the issue, hey folks, we're removing Xcode 9 as well as Xcode 7 from the image. And let's just see what kind of feedback we get.
It's not, just to be clear, it's not a big deal to support it. It might be in terms of space, quota.
Yeah.
But if I show you I already created the High Sierra base image. So if I do an image list, it doesn't take a lot of space. It's 16 gigs. So basically, if we don't do a lot of parallel MRs at the same time, it shouldn't take a lot of space. And here I already have, one job that creates 10.13 base image and another 10.15, and then same thing for toolchain. And then it goes on to the Xcode, and then based on the version of the Xcode,
Sweet.
I have it I added a new key to the file where for 9.41 it uses the 1013 base image. So the work is done. It's not a big change. We just have to decide, okay, is it worth in terms of review time, or do we leave it for later, even if the MR stays open?
I mean, personally speaking, I'm okay leaving it out and seeing what kind of feedback we get, right? Because we can get like there's 12 customers that sounds like, yeah, I only Xcode 9, and then maybe I get the one customer says they absolutely need it. But I say let's not include it for the closed beta and then see what kind of feedback we get. That's just my goal.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I mean, the simpler the closed beta is, the better for us.
Okay. Yeah, the thing I find interesting is why 7.41, I think, works on Catalina and just not 941. And the only thing in particular about Xcode 9 is it's the last version to support 32-bit build versions. So, we might have a customer that wants the latest one and needs to support 32-bit.
Let's not worry about these weird edge cases. Let's just focus on like the latest and greatest, and then will direct users to your issue at support for other macOS version. I would just update it at support to older Xcode versions just to make it clear for the users, because right now that is mostly focusing on the technical solution than the problem itself. So I would just update it, old versions of Xcode, and that's it. And then we can remove it from the macOS closed beta epic.
Okay.
Darren can direct them to that issue.
So I'll leave it without any, or do I leave it for like the general availability?
I would just remove the epic for now and just see what users want. Because like if no one asks for it, there's no point for us to support it.
Yeah.
So if you can leave an update on the issue, why we're removing it and things like that, that would be perfect.
Okay. Just take a note there. The next thing is you probably received an email about this logic monitor. So I had to contact them because we were getting, resource not available errors, because this is not supposed to be visible for customers, but in order for us to be able to monitor our quota easily, they allowed us access to this dashboard. So that makes it much easier to visualize. This morning I cleaned up a few VMs, and now as the builds are executing, we're recreating some VMs. So it makes it much easier to track if we're getting close to our quota of 1 terabyte.
Is this something that's always going to be available to us?
Yeah.
Can we document it somewhere? In the handbook page or in the readme file of the Orca. Maybe in the handbook page might be better. Because this might be something that the SRE team might have to look at some point when they're managing the Orca clusters themselves, not us.
Okay. Then I'll document how to request for access as well. That's the most important part. Okay, so now Darren, up to you.
Yeah, I just checked this morning. We now have 12 customer requests or customer/user requests to get access to closed beta. I haven't responded back to any one as yet, but I will review kind of all of our notes that we took last week. But maybe Steve already did this with Elliot, but we haven't had a good discussion about the Mac stuff. So in my one-on-one with him today, I'm going to review everything. Kind of make sure we're synced up and so on. So just wanted to share that with everyone. That's it from my side.
Okay, so
I think all these issues should be confidential because some of them are not.
That's a good point. Yeah, let me make it confidential.
If I can. No, I cannot. You'll have to go one by one and make it confidential. But you can update the issue template to do /confidential automatically.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't know that. Okay, let me do that right away.
So like every time a user creates an issue, it's confidential by default.
Got it. So cool. So any concerns that I should bring up with Elliot? I'm sure he's going to have some concerns because we haven't had a good conversation. But anything I should bring up with him as I go through?
How many merge requests? I haven't looked at macOS last week and this week. How many merge requests are there, Pedro? 4 or 5?
Yeah, about, let me, should be 5, it seems, because the High Sierra, yeah. I'm just, I already merged the one about splitting the CI job. So, well, one of them is just like a documentation thing.
Okay.
Adding linting for documentation. So
okay.
It's a small job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think I have no concerns apart from. So let me look at the calendar. So we're saying Monday is due date.
Yeah. And we can kind of flex that, right? In terms of, because I haven't communicated anything to any of those users.
Okay, we have to flex it.
Yeah.
Because
Well, we can, no, let's do this. Let's tighten up like I'll type up the notes or what have you. Maybe we can discuss it in the runner agenda on Monday, right? It's like spend some time and then maybe we can plan for like Wednesday or Thursday onboarding the first customer or whatever it is.
yeah, because last week was mostly focusing on the job logs for the Kubernetes migration.
Mhm.
This week is trying to wrap up the after-script stuff. So I don't think I'll have time to review anything this week regarding macOS stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. And honestly, for me as well, I got pulled into a bunch of other administrative stuff last week, so I didn't spend as much time as I wanted with going through the mechanics.
Have we talked to the JTK team? Like, I know you pinged us on the issue, but I did not see any response from them.
I mean, since I haven't followed up since the ping. Pedro, have you had any Slack conversations with them by any chance? Or anything?
No.
Because it would be nice to set up one-time internal team, just so we get the process kind of cleared up and see like, oh, what do we actually need to do? So
Yeah, let's type it and let's make it a goal for next week and to get them on there by Tuesday. How's that?
yeah. It doesn't have to be all the merge requests merged. We just need to use an image that was produced by those merge requests.
Yeah, I can reach out to the person who pinged us about it. I think it was Lippert. So I could reach out to him and see if his, how his schedule is looking like, if he would have some time to work on that, getting it on our runners.
And the only other thing I don't have in the agenda is to let you guys, everyone know. The other thing, so I need to go through the process stuff again, talk to Elliot. The other thing in parallel I have to do later on this week is circle back on how we do pricing. Since all those pricing changes from the last week, it's become very apparent. I need to figure out what we have to do in terms of the back end, whether to figure out the pricing changes. That's another thing. Hopefully I can get this week.
What do you mean by backends?
So in GitLab.com, so like not for closed beta, but when we go GA, how are we going to price this? Obviously everyone's been talking about sort of this credit model. Is it credit models right term?
Yeah.
The credit model that Camille came up with. So is that the model we're going to use? And then if that's the model, what's the factors we're going to apply for the macOS stuff? And then do we have to make any other changes in GitLab Rails in order to start measuring?
Changes wise, I think that should be done because that is what Camille and Alexi were working on a few months back, implementing the factors basically. So that I think it should all be done, and then it's a matter of just setting up the factors as you said.
And there was one other thing. Let me just add this. I wanted to look at today with Elliot. Let me just add it here. I wanted to just double check what we had to do with this issue that Camille, if anything, had created. I hadn't looked in a while, so I was looking at it. I was trying to look at it in the context of all of those pricing discussions.
I do not know about this.
So I hear you. The factors was done. So I need to double check. Okay, the factors table is there. And how does it tie to this other thing that Camille was talking about?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I want to make sure I get straight, because we don't need it for closed beta, but I need to kick off the discussions hopefully in the next couple of weeks with all of the leadership team around. Hey, now that you went through all that headache to have that pricing announcement, here we're coming with this Mac stuff. What pricing you want to go with, and how do you want to communicate it? Because obviously we had so much work on the pricing change last week.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just so that you guys know, that's something I need to get some headspace on the next couple of days, and hopefully not get distracted by other stuff. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. So sounds like we're done.
All right, cool. Thanks to you guys, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks. Take care.